The Reformation and Counter-Reformation. The Renaissance's humanism led people to question church authority. Humanism was a philosophical outlook focusing on human potential and achievements, valuing human reason, individualism, and the importance of education. Beginnings of the Reformation. Key individuals and their actions. Martin Luther. In 1517, Luther famously nailed his 95 Theses to the church door in Wittenberg, criticizing the sale of indulgences, pardons for sins, and calling for reform within the church. Christians reach heaven only by faith in God and his forgiveness. Justification by faith. Priests did not have special powers to interpret the Bible. All people of faith were equal. Church teachings should be based on the words of the Bible. Luther established the Lutheran Church in Germany. As a result, Luther was excommunicated from the church by Pope Leo X, and Emperor Charles V's Edict of Worms declared Luther an outlaw and heretic. John Calvin. Calvin's work, Institutes of the Christian Religion, published in 1536, laid the foundation for Reformed theology. It emphasized predestination, the belief that all life's events are predetermined by God, and the sovereignty of God. John Knox, a Scottish preacher who brought Calvin's teachings to Scotland. Knox's followers were known as Presbyterians. They believed churches should be governed by an assembly of elders. Huldrych Zwingli. Zwingli led the Reformation in Switzerland, advocating for a return to the scriptures and rejecting practices not found in the Bible. Known as the people's priest, he preached his interpretations directly from the Bible, emphasizing scripture over Catholic doctrines. He challenged many Catholic doctrines such as Mass, fasting during Lent, veneration of saints and relics, purgatory, and celibacy of the priests. John of Leyden. A strong believer in the authority of the Bible, he argued that salvation is a free gift of God's grace, and that good works are not sufficient to earn salvation. He produced the first translation of the Bible in English rather than in Latin. Henry VIII. He broke with the Catholic Church because the Pope refused to annul his marriage to Catherine of Aragon. Parliament passed a law ending the Pope's power over England. Parliament made the English king head of England's church, resulting in the establishment of the Church of England separate from papal authority. The children of Henry VIII. Following Henry VIII's death, his three children eventually ruled. Edward VI continued Protestant reforms but was a king at 9 and died 6 years later. Mary, often called Bloody Mary, returned the English church to the Pope, executed many Protestants but died just 5 years after becoming queen. Elizabeth I returned the kingdom to Protestantism. She gave tolerance to Catholics, but executed Mary, Queen of Scots, for plotting against her. She also aided the Dutch Protestant rebellion against Spain and defeated the Spanish Armada. The Counter-Reformation, also known as the Catholic Reformation, was the Catholic Church's reaction to the Protestant Reformation. Its purpose was to strengthen the Catholic Church and keep Catholics from converting to Protestantism. Initial responses. The Catholic Church issued papal bulls condemning Reformation ideas, denouncing Luther and his teachings, labeling them heretical. The Edict of Worms, issued in 1521, declared Luther an outlaw and banned his writings, leading to his protection by sympathetic German princes. The Church also initiated reforms to address corruption and improve clergy education, aiming to regain followers. Long-term strategies. The Council of Trent, held from 1545 to 1563, was an ecumenical council that sought to clarify Catholic doctrine and reform church practices. It reaffirmed the importance of tradition and the sacraments. Pope approved new religious orders such as the Jesuits. Founded by Ignatius of Loyola, the Jesuits were to travel as missionaries, preaching and administering the sacraments wherever there was hope of bringing greater good, thus expanding the reach of the Catholic Church. The Church established the Inquisition to combat heresy and created the Index of Forbidden Books to control the spread of Protestant ideas. Additionally, the Catholic Church promoted Baroque art and architecture. This movement used art to inspire faith and convey religious messages, leading to the Baroque era. Impacts of the Reformation and Counter-Reformation. Religious impacts. Fragmentation of Christianity. The Reformation led to the establishment of numerous Protestant denominations, including Lutheranism, Calvinism, and Anglicanism. Emphasis on personal faith. The Reformation encouraged individual interpretation of the Scriptures, leading to a more personal relationship with God. Decline of papal authority. The authority of the Pope diminished as many regions rejected papal supremacy in favor of national churches. Social impacts. Rise of literacy. The translation of the Bible into vernacular languages increased literacy rates as people sought to read the Scriptures themselves. Changes in family structure. The Reformation promoted the idea of the nuclear family and the importance of marriage, influencing social norms, education and universities. Protestant reformers established schools and universities emphasizing education and critical thinking. Political impacts. Strengthening of nation-states. The Reformation contributed to the rise of nation-states as rulers sought to consolidate power by aligning with Protestantism or Catholicism. Religious wars. The Reformation sparked a series of conflicts and wars for over 100 years. These conflicts included the 30 Years' War, which ended with the Peace of Westphalia. This treaty also recognized the principle of cuius regio, eius religio, meaning whose realm, his religion. Another conflict was the Wars of Religion. French Huguenots fought French Catholics. It ended with the Edict of Nantes, which tried to end French religious wars by granting rights to the Huguenots, but this eventually failed. Another conflict was the Peasants' War. The Peace of Augsburg ended persistent fighting between Charles V and German Lutheran princes. The treaty also established cuius regio, eius religio, which allowed each ruler to determine the religion of their subjects. Separation of church and state. The Reformation laid the groundwork for later discussions on the separation of church and state, influencing modern political thought.